Thank you, Joy, for agreeing to sit with us today and tell us a bit of your story and your family story. But our big question is, what were you doing in 1972? Because it coincides with our Clark County Genealogical Society's 50th year, helping people find their family stories. So, Joy, what were you doing 50 years ago?
You know, it took almost 45 seconds to remember. I was probably in the hospital giving birth to my last child and celebrating that she was a girl and not a boy. And when I took her home, jumped right back into work. We were putting together a breeding farm and a racing stable. We had bought a historic home up in La Center, Washington, a Queen Anne that was built in 1898, and we were restoring it and making it a family home. But it seems as soon as we bought the place, we hit the ground running, and it didn't stop the whole time that we were living there. And my precious daughter just had to run as fast as she could to catch up with the rest of us. So we celebrated her 50th birthday party, 50th birthday this last week with a running birthday party, which is probably still going on someplace. And so I did think back, what was I doing 50 years ago? And it was a milestone.
It was a milestone time for you and your family.
Yeah.
But are your family from Clark County?
No, as a matter of fact, we're not. My husband's from Wisconsin, and he fit into the West Coast very easily. And I was born on the West Coast, and my kids from the West Coast. But as a kid, I lived all over the United States, quite often for one day at a time, and we moved the next day. I'd like to say we were gypsies. That would have been glamorizing it. But so when I got married, I said, if we have kids, we are going to stay in one location so they could start school and graduate from the same school. And we did. And I didn't realize at the time just how monumental that would be in their lives. Mm-hmm. But it was a foundation. And the ranch was big. It was 160 acres. The momentum was a constant 100 miles an hour. And I don't think I would have changed a thing. Now I can rest and retire.
You are retired, Joy.
Whatever that means. I am still as busy as I always have been and enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, I noticed that. So I know your children are pretty much Northwest, right?
Yeah.
But what about your parents? Were they Northwesterners?
They were born, one was born in Idaho and one was born in Utah. So no, they weren't Pacific Northwesterners.
And before that, where did your people come from? Where'd your mom's people come from?
My mom's people came from, I did my genealogy too, just because we had done our DNA. And when my son got his back, he lost his mind because he wasn't 100% German. Duh, how can you be 100% German if I'm 25% Irish?
Yeah.
So anyway, I did do our genealogy, and 3 of the foundation names, Marx, Gerdoux, and Hausel, all came from Germany, depending on what year. You know, the borders changed back there a lot. And the Boyd came from Scot-Irish.
So which generation was the first one to leave Europe? About?
It was definitely the Irish. When King James, invaded Ireland and Scotland.
1600s?
Yep, in the 1600s. Apparently we had a castle back there. Ulster is what we were. And they killed the oldest that was in the castle. And there were 3 brothers. And the middle brother, they said, "You're loyal to me or death?" He said, "I'll be loyal to you." And the youngest said, "Death or the colonies?" He said, "I'll take the colonies." So we were here early on,
Wow. Wow.
North Carolina.
And then, but the Germans, if they're like my Germans, they stayed until the 1800s.
Yes, yes. Apparently there were some communities in Germany that, when the selfish little royals wanted more money, they went to war with their neighbors, and the boundaries changed. And so there were some communities that simply could not support themselves. So single families, single people, whole communities, they paid for them to come to the Americas. And so my husband's family, Hazel, they came as a community, and most of them went to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Mine packed up the whole family, got on the train and then the boat, and they all went to Michigan. And by 1840, they were in Michigan.
Yeah, that's cool.
But we did figure out where they were from, north and east of Berlin, a little town that still exists called Letchen.
Cool. I saw that on the map. Gurdu. I always thought it was French. Come to find out, no, it's German. And they were from, I don't know where they were from, but the Marx was from Hessen. And apparently, the prince earned his money by all of his males were soldiers, the Hessen soldiers, and he hired them out to whoever would pay the bill.
Yeah, a lot of Hessians came.
Exactly, for the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
And mine just stayed and went to Utah.
Oh, that's an amazing ancestors.
It was just cool to find it out.
That's pretty cool. That is really cool. But my great-great-grandfather, I found him twice in the census. Once he said he came from Prussia, and the other said he came from Germany.
I told you the boundaries changed all the time.
I know, but then it's like, well, what was going on? Because nobody talks about Prussia these days.
No.
But apparently that was that was the king and the whomever that
Habsburgs.
did. No, they weren't Habsburgs.
What were they?
They were Prussians. Prussians.
Yeah, but
No,
when the
didn't
boundaries
become-
changed.
They didn't become Habsburgs
Okay.
or Austria. The last Prussian king agreed that Germany should be united,
Right.
and they didn't even name a county Prussia. So that's why to me it's rather confusing, and I'm going, I should have known this. I should have known it in my life.
Are you psychic? But that's what is so mind-bogglingly interesting. Everybody knows a touch of their ancestry, but it all depends on what period you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Because the boundaries change so often, so radically. It just boggled my mind to find out there had, the 30-year war after the 100-year war, they divided all the little properties, and there were 350 little duchies like, Monaco and Liechtenstein around there.
Now there's only 5 tiny little things.
Right, that survived, but they did survive.
It is all amazing.
It is amazing.
So much of our roots are somewhere in there, someplace. That's
Scrambled.
It's the scramble to find them.
It really is.
So in 1972, you were here thinking about your fourth born child,
Mm-hmm.
and pondering what was ahead. Or did you even have time to ponder?
Nope.
You just did it. But that's kind of how you are now. You just do it.
Just do it.
You just do it. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and we hope you'll come to the library someday and tell us more of your stories.
Everybody's got intriguing stories, and their future is just as intriguing.
That's
So
true.
it's here and now and what's in the future.
It's all of our ancestors are interesting stories,
Yes.
and we're just making ours.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much.
After last
Dawn.
weekend's party, I'm not quite sure about anybody's reputation, but we are making ours.
Tomorrow will be better.
Yes, it will.
Thank you so much, Joy.
Thanks, love.